Hello, everyone. It's Dr. Eric Westman, and I'm glad to be with you today or tonight, wherever you may be. As I wait for some folks to get in, hello to Sophia from London, and Connie and Lisa, Nancy from Arizona. It's great if you let us and our team know where you're from. It gives us an indication of just where this is reaching. Sylvia, thanks for your kind comments. Rodney from Kentucky, I think. Phoenix, Chicago. Faith from Charlotte. Anna from South Korea. From Santa Cruz. The Sky Hiker. Jody from Colorado. Of course, Lisa, my admin from Adapt Your Life, will be on at the end of the call. Thanks for chiming in. And Gail from Clarksville, Thomas from Connecticut, Rebecca and Charlotte, Javier in Singapore, Paige from Alabama, Christine from Sydney, Atlanta, Cheryl from Holiday, Shannon from New York, Christina from Pittsburgh. Great. Yeah, it's my pleasure to be with you. And I have some exciting new things to talk about because we've already had some experience with the Keto Made Simple Masterclass at Adapt Your Life Academy, and I'll get into that in a bit. But I want to share with you this session on the current day view. So this is April 2021, about the confusion and misinformation about the keto diet that I see, and hopefully give you a little perspective on where this is coming from and how you can simplify things. And that's really Adapt Your Life Academy's role, is to help you separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak, the important information from the lesser important information. If you could please type in all caps question, and that'll allow us to be able to have the question pop out at us. I apologize. We try to get to every question we can, and that'll just help us make sure we get to the questions. And there'll be plenty of time for Q&A questions at the end of the session. I'd like to just get started. And for those of you who don't know me, I'm at Duke University. I'm an associate professor of medicine. I've been now here at Duke in Durham, North Carolina for about 30 years. I started in Wisconsin and grew up in Madison, went to medical school there after doing undergrad at Stanford University in Palo Alto, California. Then worked my way south through the University of Kentucky in Lexington and stayed there in internal medicine. Came to Duke 30 years ago, and I was trained as a researcher, clinical researcher, but what was really catching my attention is that the problems were changing and people were becoming overweight and obese and more diabetes. And I was working at the VA, the Veterans Affairs Hospital, which is our veteran system. And my patients weren't getting better. They were getting obese and having more diabetes and heart disease. And so I was looking for another alternative. And two patients who came to me kind of showed me in front of my face how to do it. It was something called the Atkins diet, and I didn't know much about it. But this is now going back to 1998. But I was curious. In fact, I thought, gosh, people could do this on their own. This person didn't even need me. Didn't need a doctor he lost 50 pounds. And when I asked him what he did, he said, all I did is eat steak and eggs. And I said, well, oh, come on, you're kidding. And he said, no, it's the truth. And it's all in this book. And he brought this book. It was one of the Atkins diet books. I thought, well, this is very interesting. I certainly never had much success with my clinic helping people lose weight. And so I was intrigued and followed that signal, and one thing led to another. I found myself in Dr. Atkins' office in New York City and asking him what he did. and then saying, hey, you need to do some research. Why don't you fund us to go back to Duke? And then that first paper led to another and others, and now studies have been done all around the world, and yet a lot of the same misinformation is there. So let me just give you really a 20-year perspective now, and we have a saying in the medical research world that we doctors can't talk without slides. So of course I have some slides for you, and hopefully they won't bore you too much here. But let me just bring in my slides here and share the screen. Excellent. So what I'd like to do is give you just a brief Chalk Talk slideshow on keto confusion and misinformation as of April 26, 2021. And you'll see what the ton-pound there on the left means in just a minute. So if you're wondering what that is, it's just for this presentation. So I'm at Duke University, been here 30 years, but we also founded the Adapt Your Life company and Adapt Your Life Academy to teach people on a larger scale. And so my background at Duke, I'm an associate professor of medicine. I'm director of the Keto Medicine Clinic. It was established in 2006. I've published over 45 peer-reviewed papers on the keto diet, or low carb, high fat, or low carb ketogenic. These are all kind of the synonyms for the same thing. I'm past chairman of the board of the largest group of medical weight loss doctors in the world, called the Obesity Medicine Association. And I'm, as I mentioned, co-founder of Adapt Your Life and Adapt Your Life Academy. I'm also author of several books, including The New Atkins for a New You, Keto Clarity, Cholesterol Clarity. But my latest thinking is wrapped up into this new book on the right at the bottom there, called End Your Carb Confusion. And this was a joint venture between Adapt Your Life, myself, my experience at Duke, and the Adapt company. So Amy Berger, excuse me, I said Adapt Your Life twice. So Amy Berger, you may know her from Tuit Nutrition, and she has just a very no-nonsense keto without the crazy sort of idea, which was a good fit for the way I like to teach things simply. And check out End Your Carb Confusion if you haven't already. So let me take you back a few years and, sit back and let me tell you a story. The validation of the low carb keto diet did not come easy, nor did it happen overnight. And after I met those patients and met Dr. Atkins and started doing research, our first paper was published in 2002. So that's an abstract there on the left-hand side. That's me, Eric Westman, and it was 50 people put on the diet for 6 months, watching all of the weight and health parameters as best we could in the blood, and it worked really well. So, the first thing I do if someone asks me, well, what about the, Dr. Blankety Blank? I'm sure you've seen, the Dr. Smith diet, and I'll say, well, show me a paper. 50 people over 6 months, published in a peer-reviewed journal, and I'll comment on it. We published that paper in 2002 with what I do today. So I know it may seem a little brash or arrogant and all that, but what I talk about has been published and has been researched, and then I've used it in the clinic for a long time. There are a lot of people that don't have that experience. And I see the growth of keto in kind of a double-edged sword. There are people out there who, they might have just had their own experience, and now they've become the world's guru on it. And the nice thing about a keto diet is it is robust, meaning it works really well in lots of different ways. It's very flexible, but you want to make sure you're doing it right. And I'll get into that a little bit here. Jeff Volek on the right-hand side here, the first author of this paper. Interestingly, it was published the same month in 2002, best I can tell or recall. And Jeff was at the University of Connecticut. Now he's at the Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. And we've never worked together at the same location, but I've known him through the years, and he's doing all sorts of wonderful work on the metabolic syndrome, which, as you're going to learn, is the fulcrum or turning point around the keto diet, which shows that it's good for the heart health and it doesn't cause all those myths and misconceptions that you've heard about because of this new thing called metabolic syndrome. If you haven't heard of that, we'll get over into that, and we talk, update you on that within the master classes that we have. So that was almost 20 years ago. 2002, when I got into this, 1998, was over 20 years ago. Now, let's fast forward from 2002 to 2021, the validation of the low-carb keto diet went through dozens of studies, not just our studies, and we've done a dozen at Duke, but they've been done all over the world. And this is a graphic from the Public Health Collaboration of the UK, which has this all at their website, where if you look in the middle here, this is the weight loss results from published randomized trials. Randomized controlled trials, or RCTs, are the highest level of clinical evidence we have. You don't want to just take someone's word for it or an anecdote or rustle a few people and follow them together loosely. You want rigorous science and data before doing something, in my opinion. And so these were all studies comparing low carb versus low fat. And in the middle of the column on the left were 31 in blue, was all of the studies that showed low carb diets beat low fat diets head to head. Clinical trials, meaning they were randomized, that people didn't have a choice of what to do. 31 to nothing is the score when you look at the weight loss comparing low carb versus low fat. It's not even close. Now, the other 53, the larger bar versus 7, is if you include all the studies, even if there wasn't a significant difference between the two. Now, I've been saying over and over and over that low fat diets can work. It can. I know people for whom they work. People, it may have worked for you before. It's like different kinds of cars, but the science says about different kinds of cars, different kinds of diets can work, but other people promote them differently. But here, when you look at the science of low carb versus low fat, low carb is better, hands down. And but again, my style is to not say other things can't work when they can. It's just if you want to do something that works better, or do it right the first time, check out the low carb diets, because there's a wealth of information now. And if you had a process to evaluate diets and have the government look at them and approve them like a drug, the low carb diet would be approved like a drug. There's so much data for it now, so much behind it, but there's no process for that. You don't have to go to FDA to write a diet book. And so beware of diet books, including ones I've written, but you'll see we have our data and our studies there to back it up. So it's been a long time coming, 20 years of science to back it up in clinical work, and now doctors all over the world are using this, and people are getting wind of it, and with or without their doctor, they're doing it. Kind of like how I got into this. I didn't know about it, and I learned from my patients about it. You may be introducing this to your doctor for the first time, but now you have the background and the knowledge that I didn't have 20 years ago, that it is safe and effective if you do it right. And just having, common sense, really. I'll try to give you some of that tonight. But so this really was all put into a nutshell by my brother, who's a marketing expert. He works at Harvard part-time, but went to Kellogg School of Business, now at Harvard. He said, "Oh yeah, that's my brother. He validated the Atkins diet." And I'm like, "John, it took 20 years to do this, So yeah, well, that's, so you have to be, I want you to understand that this isn't just a fly-by-night thing. And that's one of the misconceptions and myths that you're going to hear. Oh, it's just a fad. It comes and goes. No, it's not. And there are people that don't want you to do this for various reasons. And I'm not going to get into that today, but just rest assured that the low-carb keto diet is validated now for safety and efficacy for many different things. So you may have met me or seen me at dietdoctor.com or at a keto fair. Pre-pandemic, we were at Keto Conferences with Low Carb USA in West Palm Beach and San Diego, with Keto Fest in Connecticut and New London, Connecticut. two keto dudes, and there's Salt Lake Keto and all these other keto conferences. We want to get back to that. And in fact, Adapt Your Life had these Adapt Keto conferences on Saturdays, and we would have 300, 400 people in a room who were doing or learning about keto diets. And that's really what we're continuing this year now with the digital masterclass, this effort to teach as many people as we can. So the myths and misconceptions, I'd like to group them all into the health issues. So many myths, so many misconceptions, and I hear the same ones spouted out today without any evidence. And I just want to have you, yes, I was taught that health would get worse if you did a diet like this. If you ate more fat, you didn't worry about the fat. That's the big one. And I just have to tell you that now with the 20-year perspective, we know that these conditions here are improved or reversed by the keto diet, not worsened. So obesity, of course, the diet's known for that, and it's fat burning that allows you to burn the body fat and lose the fat weight off your body. And that's really what this is a fat burning diet. Ketones are part of that process. Type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, these get better. Of course, type 1 can't be fixed and reversed because you have no insulin there. You have to stay on insulin. But type 2 diabetes, I've seen reversed, even though people say it can't be fixed. Well, that's if you go the traditional route. And I'll explain more about that on the next video on Thursday this week. I'll be back again here doing it more than once a week now this week. And I'll talk about the two different paths. You can take the eat anything you want medication path that our doctors today are just kind of commonly letting you do, or you can pay attention to your lifestyle and not have to have those medicines. I'll get into that in more detail. But type 2 diabetes, in fact, I have to say most probably the happiest patients I have are the ones who are no longer diabetic. They're not having to check their blood sugars. I know they've made it easier now with this monitor you can put on your shoulder or somewhere, and they have a smart. Why wouldn't you want to do that if you didn't have to have diabetes at all? So anyway, that's pretty exciting to see. And polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS, is a condition that can cause infertility in women, and that gets better. Irritable bowel syndrome gets better. Fatty liver, or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, or NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis. These are all the same terms for the same condition. Gets better. It turns out it's the sugar and the starches, the carbs and the food that cause the fat in the liver. So that gets better very quickly. Sadly, I'm seeing more and more people in the Duke system in the southern United States having cirrhosis of the liver from fatty liver. And it's so bad that the person has to go for a liver transplant. You can't, if the cirrhosis is really bad, meaning a liver failure, the liver can't rejuvenate itself. And so fortunately, we are able to, it's heroic, but the medical world can replace livers. And I had the really, unfortunate situation where someone was making fat in the liver after getting a transplanted liver. And nobody told this person, nobody knew, apparently, that eating the carbs is what was causing the fat in the liver and causing the cirrhosis. So be very careful about fat in the diet, causes fat on the liver, fat on the arteries. No, it doesn't. It turned out it's the carbs that do that. Heartburn, probably the sleeper, the one that would affect most people if just people started watching and dropping the sugars and the starches, because so many people experience heartburn, even to the point where you stay up all night and everyone's kind of grasping at that. Well, you have less coffee, you have fewer spicy foods. No. It's the sugar and the starch that raise the acidity, and just seeing that happen over and over and over, and see the medications work too. So why not just take a antacid or a pill for your heartburn, and you don't worry about your food, right? Well, if you want to do it a different way, take care about what you eat and not have to take medicine. Listen up, because this fixes heartburn too. Lymphedema, lipedema, these are like the certain kinds of fat accumulation on the body that doesn't look similar to everyone else. It looks different. It looks like the leg looks kind of like a stovepipe, and you got these skinny ankles, and or there might be certain distribution, or meaning the weight is in different parts of the body. And lymphedema, lipedema, up until now, was thought to be unfixable, and so you use compression stockings and gadgets and machines, but actually you can help and improve lymphedema and lipedema, and a keto diet is an effective tool there. And then metabolic syndrome, finally, probably the last and remaining still discrimination and prejudging prejudice about a keto diet is the heart disease issue. Oh, you're eating more fat, it's going to cause heart disease. I'll get that, but doc, what about the heart? What about, it's fine. And so I've been doing this 20 years. What you have to know is that metabolic syndrome is not known by all of the doctors, because there's no drug company to give you a drug to teach you. Most doctors learn from the drug companies coming to them to teach, sadly. So the metabolic syndrome is high triglyceride and low HDL in the blood, but it's also an increased abdominal circumference, an elevated blood pressure, and an elevated blood sugar, but they don't meet the criteria for hypertension and blood sugar. So yeah, right. It's a little more complicated, but what it is equally, or maybe even more powerful than the LDL total cholesterol story in terms of prevention and treatment of heart disease. So rest assured, and in fact, we can measure the arteries directly now, without worrying about the predictors in the blood, which is really what cholesterol is. So cholesterol in the blood is not a disease to have to be treated with a drug. So in some people, I'll say, just tell your doctor you're changing your lifestyle to treat the cholesterol. So you use the same language. Well, I am treating the cholesterol. I'm changing my lifestyle. And can you just give me a little time? And then, let me lose 50 pounds, 100 pounds, whatever I need to lose. And then we'll evaluate for a drug for the treatment of cholesterol. And then that will give you some time to actually work on the lifestyle without the bullying or pressure to go on a medicine to treat the cholesterol, which I don't really believe is a good idea. So there's lifestyle, which is another way to go about it. So we opened the Duke Keto Medicine Clinic in 2006. After about 8 to 10 years of research on our own, looking at it and publishing and going to meetings, and yes, getting the criticism, and it's some great stories that people just don't believe what you say. And there'll be times when I'm at a conference, I've just said it, and someone asks a question at the microphone, and I answered the question in my talk. It was like it wasn't being heard. But I understand it goes against everything we've been taught, and even people maybe need to hear it many times. But we've treated thousands of patients, Dr. Yancey and I at Duke, people who are really, really sick. Now, that I don't want you to do this on your own if you're really, really sick. That's what I've learned, is that there's a ability for things to get better so fast. If you're on medication, the medicines can become too strong. So if you're on medication, you have medical problems, don't do this on your own. Do it with someone who can make sure you're doing it as safe as possible. But at a distance, we can help people who don't have medical problems, and I'm not concerned about that at all, and we can help a lot of people in that way. But I've treated, as I mentioned, those issues on the left. These actually get better, not worse. Also on the right, I've treated people who have such bad heart failure that they're on the transplant list to get a new heart. Turns out Duke is one of the major areas, major university centers that implants these ventricular assist devices called VADs or LVADs. And so if you can imagine, these folks are walking around with a pump in their chest. It's implanted, and it's basically whirring like kind of like a machine inside, and you listen to their heart, and you don't hear the heart tones, you hear the whir of the machine. And they're very sick, and yet many of them are too heavy to get heart transplants. So the heart transplant surgeons send me their patient, and the cardiologists send me their patients to lose weight so that they can do the heart transplant. So if you have any concern about the heart doctors send me their patients, at least the ones who know about this, at Duke and other places. But so your doctors may not know this. That's my point. So post-bariatric surgery, weight regain, we know now there are a couple million people who've had the weight surgeries in the US. And many of these people will regain their weight. They may not have ever really been told how to eat after the weight loss surgery. So we can help people there as well. There are certain things you have to be careful about nutritionally and behaviorally. It's a little more complicated, but keto can help that too. And then the weight gain caused by medication. It's that time of year, springtime in Durham, North Carolina, where people are starting to put steroids up their nose for their allergies, and suddenly the weight loss stops, or actually it can cause weight gain. So just be aware of any medications that might cause weight gain. You can check out Dr. Google and see that insulin, steroids, psychiatric medicines, gabapentin, all of these other medications can cause weight gain, and just beware of that. So we've learned a lot about using the keto diet, and we want to share that information with you at a distance with a safe use. And we know the guardrails where, you really ought to be doing this with a doctor who knows how to do this locally, but I'm comfortable doing it at a distance and with a certain safety profile. Now, I want to shift. So that was kind of the myths and misconceptions. Now, what about the confusion, right? This poor child is getting the internet confusion of keto. You just search, and in fact, I'll be teaching using the video that I made for myself, and suddenly there's an ad for somebody else's keto product on my YouTube that I put out there that I don't quite understand how that works. But it's very confusing to start out. And so I want to dispel some of those things. And we're finding that there are some common themes about what is causing the problems for people not only to get started, but when they get started, they have side effects, or it doesn't work as well as they think it should. And over the years, I've noticed the coming together of several themes. And so because I, at the bottom here, started with low carb, high fat, or low carb keto diets that basically cut the carbs down, and you use total carbs, not net carbs. That's what I use in my clinic. That's the prescription strength keto. I've noticed that these other things have kind of popped up without really any full scrutiny in the medical literature for the use of weight loss and diabetes and medical problems. So if you're trying to lose weight on the upper left-hand side and you're doing the ketogenic diet for epilepsy by mistake, so it's not like it's named that, but you're focusing on macros and you're worried about your ketone levels, and people come to me all earnestly saying, but I'm not in ketosis. And I look and I say, but you're losing weight and you're having progress. And, so ketosis is not the goal. And we've learned that in medical use, not everyone gets into ketosis. So you don't want to focus on the macros and ketones all that much. That's kind of an introduction based on these apps that are out there, these products, that sort of thing, taking advantage of that, or just based on that idea, which is not something we use. Then on the upper right-hand side, the paleo primal idea is that you got to eat clean and create, food quality, go get a half a cow with your neighbor and you go even meet the cow and know that it's being cared for. Well, that's great if you can, but it doesn't really focus on keto metabolism. And honestly, in North Carolina, that makes this out of reach for a lot of people. They can't go to the higher end food grocery stores. They can't get into the food quality kinds of things because it's more expensive. And so the food quality is not as important. And it's great if you can pay attention to it. I'm not saying that it's not, but you don't have to worry about having grass-fed beef or having something other. I've had people who eat at McDonald's and they get better. So the flexibility of knowing how to do this in a clinic over 20 years has allowed me to really understand the basic things, not all of these kind of frills that are leading to the confusion that are out there on the internet. So we started the Adapter Life Academy last year an offshoot of the teaching adapted keto events. And the goal really is to improve people's health and quality of life. And this year, or hopefully continue to eliminate the confusion about the keto diet. That's our primary role. We want to make it simple for you. So our strategy is to educate as many people as we can about the diet and to help people get started on the keto diet. So we not only introduce you to the ideas, and here's the videos to watch and the manuals and all the information, we will help you get started on it. That's in the social media group that we'll talk about. We want to make sure you're doing it right and having success. And it's not just, here's a book, see ya. It's, here's some information, and now we're going to help you hands-on get started. It's really exciting, actually. We have 2 master classes. There are more coming down the road. Keto Made Simple is opening this week again, and we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about some details. And the Stall Slayer started this last month and had great success. But let me talk about the Keto Made Simple. This is the kind of flagship program. You're getting started, or you want to reboot or restart. And here's why I had the picture of a ton. That we just crossed our threshold of helping people lose a ton of weight in the Keto Made Simple Masterclass. So we launched it in November. So just in the last 2 iterations, 4 months, we've had over 1,200 students enrolled in 2 classes. The class consists of videos, print materials, 3 weeks of private group session to get started, to get you over that hurdle. You're not sure how to do it, we'll help you. There are a lot of different ways to do it, simply or complicated and expensive or inexpensive. So the first group lost 893 pounds. I say plus pounds because not everyone completed the final survey, but of the people who completed the survey, that means an average of 5.5 pounds in just 3 weeks. And the range, is from 0 to 20, depending on where you're starting. It's pretty amazing. And it's what I see in the clinic. The second group lost 1,167 pounds. And interestingly, it was a little higher on average, which probably was the selection of who was in the class. And so when you add that all together, 893 from the first class and 1,167, that's 2,060 pounds lost. That's a ton. So we've helped people lose a ton of weight. Now, I know there are a lot of other things that get better and all that. And so I use this. I remember a friend of mine who has his own practice, has a sign, like McDonald's, it has, over X number of hamburgers served. He always would have X number of pounds lost in front of his office. And so I wanted to show that we've reached past the 1 ton mark in helping people lose weight. There'll be a lot of other tons to go, I'm sure. So we've learned a lot of things as we get started. We're teaching a simple version of keto that I've been using and studying at Duke now for 20 years. 94% said they learned something new, even though 75% had already been on keto a while. And over 96% of students said they would recommend the class to others. And so I've a duplicate bullet here. But at the very bottom bullet here, over 10 common misconceptions about how to do a keto diet popped up. And so the most common mistakes or misconceptions that people are doing, the confusion is the overconsumption of fat. Now that could be in the form of oil, dairy, cream and cheese or olive oil or butter. So there's a kind of internet theme out there. Just, have all the fat you want. Well, not if you're trying to lose weight. That's something we've learned in the clinic, that you have to restrict that. The use of macro or ketone measuring. The other theme is that people think it's too complicated. Well, I don't want to measure my ketones. How do I do that? And all that. No, so we teach a method that doesn't require any of that. So just to kind of summarize what we're learning is you don't have to measure ketones when you do keto in a method like this. I know it's called a keto diet, but it's called a keto diet because you have ketones that come out for energy, not because you have to measure them or drink them or eat them. There's even, I think, some keto pills now that I don't use at all, and it still works really well. And then something that comes out of the clinic. Remember, I'm in a clinic and it has to work, or people will come back to me and say, it's not working. And so I need a program that's going to work. And one thing we've learned for years and years and years, at the start, there are no nuts, no nut flours, no nut butter. Now, can't I have, well, do you want this to work the first time, every time? Nuts are the classic trigger food, meaning it keeps you hungry. It makes you hungry even. So no almond flour, no peanut butter or almond butter. So, and I just say this because I want this to be successful for you. And yes, later on, or if you can demonstrate that you can control the nuts, sure, you can have them. But be honest. How often have you had a mixed nut jar like that, and you go by and you take a handful out, and then later in the day you take another handful and another handful? Those are things that you don't want to have, little traps, booby traps you don't want to set up for yourself as you're getting started. And this was over 50% of the people who took the class did not know this. And that's a simple thing. And there were 10 things that people kind of tripped people up that we could easily fix when people joined the class. The other thing we've been able to do is to make it clearer how you're going to get from here to your goal. So there are actually certain stages. This is the Keto Made Simple success path. And it doesn't really depend. It doesn't matter where you are, where you're beginning. But we want to know your motivation, why you're doing this. We want to overcome any confusion or fear that you might have. Oh, I'm not sure it's for me. I mean, this is basically for anyone with the understanding that if you're on medication, you need to be followed by someone who understands this, physician, keto-friendly physician, hopefully. But the first stage is understanding what to do, knowing about the keto flu, or we call it, the headache or fatigue you might get. Most people don't get it, so don't be afraid of that. And what we do is we explain how you can reduce your chances of getting those symptoms. Then we talk you through how your body changes in terms of fat metabolism, the hunger going down, the energy going up, so you can understand what's going on. It really is kind of like a metamorphosis of going from carb eating and carb burning to not eating carbs and burning fat burning, or ketosis. And then you'll notice really rather quickly within the first week some weight loss and other benefits that depending on where you are, you might get skin improvements like eczema and psoriasis, things like that. So we've unpacked what seems complicated into teachable and demonstrable steps or segments for you, so that we can relieve your anxiety or fear about getting started, reduce the confusion along the way. And again, it's a combination of hands-on learning with video and also hands-on support through the social media that we've developed. So that's the Keto Made Simple success path. And I'll go into more detail about the class itself on Thursday, same time. So I'd like to wrap up and then bring Lisa on and take some questions. This was a talk about keto confusion and misinformation as of April 2021. Evidence-based keto is safe and effective when done right. I'm not talking about, so evidence-based keto is safe. I'm not quite sure about what all is going on there in the internet. It hasn't been well studied, and I've seen some times when it's caused some problems. Keto works for virtually everyone when it's done right. Beware of the use of products or methods that might impair the success and safety. This internet-based keto idea, you want to do evidence-based keto. And again, if medical conditions are present, please be careful. Monitoring is needed to safely deprescribe medications so that you can have the best results possible. Well, that's it. Thanks for listening in, and I'd like to come back to off the screen share, and there we are. Lisa, are you all set? Awesome.
Hi.
Hello. Well, we passed a ton.
I know. I was having so many problems earlier with my computer because I just got a new laptop, and I wasn't on Chrome, and StreamYard wasn't allowing me to join. So I had
Oh,
a big panic attack 1 minute before start time.
oh well, you made it.
I made it. Hi, everyone.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
here we go.
Yes, I want to actually, just before we get started on the Q&A, everybody, I want to just say that for those of you who stay until the very end of tonight's session, we're going to pick 5 of you randomly at the very end to win a signed copy of Dr. Westman's new book, End Your Carb Confusion. So be sure to stay to the end. If you don't live locally, no big deal. We will send you a digital copy of the book. So must stay with us till the end, and we will announce the 5 winners at the very end. Something else I wanted to remind you is while we are doing Q&A, if you do have a question, just type the word question in all caps. So reminding so that the team can kind of easily see your question, because we are getting a lot of questions coming in. And then, Doc, if you wouldn't mind just mentioning the importance of, if anybody is on medication currently, it's absolutely essential that you work with your doctor to help you adjust medication doses safely. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've learned that changing the diet, changing what you eat, can be very, very powerful. And, it's a funny world we've been living in, where most doctors don't understand how strong diet is, what you eat is. But, we wouldn't put dirty gas into our cars, but we're putting junk into our mouths. So, and so what I've learned is that even with diabetes, if someone's taking insulin for diabetes, they have to adjust the medicine on the first day that they start. And we can't be responsible for adjusting medication at a distance. It's just not safe to do. It'd be like having someone teach you how to ride a bike over the internet, and they're not there to hold you, So be very careful if you're taking medications. I mean it, and I say that in the class, I mean it, that don't do this without other supervision and medical help. If you're taking medications for diabetes, hypertension, well, just any medicine, let's put that guardrail there, then that way you'll not be unsafe.
Absolutely. All right, great. All right, so now we're ready to dive in. We've got quite a few questions to get through. So let's start. Katie wants to know, she says, I've been on Atkins for the past year, and I know Dr. Westman co-wrote the book, The New Atkins for a New You, which I loved, by the way. My question is, how is the new Masterclass diet different from Atkins diet?
Yeah, so actually Dr. Atkins was one of my teachers, not formally, but I learned from what he did. And I'm actually using and studied at Duke what the Atkins Center did in New York City when they were in business till he died in 2003. So I'm using a total carb, not net carb method. It's prescription strength, meaning I can help diabetes, overweight, all these other things, metabolic syndrome. The new Atkins for a New You introduced the concept of net carbs. It was something that didn't exist before the year 2000 or 2004 or something, so it's kind of a new idea, and it can work for a lot of people, just like an ibuprofen 200 can work for a lot of people for pain. But if you want prescription strength medicine, you need to get the doctor's type of prescription for pain or the total carb method. Let me put it another way. The New Atkins for a New You book has helped a lot of people, and I'm great to be a part of that. But if you think that isn't working, therefore low carb doesn't work for me, actually going from net carbs to total carbs, kind of like I use and what Dr. Atkins used in his office, actually can work where net carbs didn't. So don't despair, don't give up. And if counting net carbs is working, that's fantastic, but it doesn't work for everyone.
Right. Grace says, is this a permanent diet or a diet just while losing weight 6 to 12 months, for instance? Also, will I regain the weight if I add in some carbs later after reaching my weight target?
Well, there's so many different people and approaches, and the individualization is really great. I've learned over the last 20 years that you really don't need to eat carbohydrates ever. So, don't think of it in the way of, well, I'm going to do this, it's a diet, then I'm going to get off it because I can't do that forever. Actually, this is sort of the ancestral way of eating without carbohydrates, without sugars, and it's healthy to do. That's a big change over the last 20 years. Everyone thought it was going to kill you, and now it's healthy for people to do. That said, you can add back carbs, but spoiler alert for our book, Enter Carb Confusion, you just want to do it slowly. So if you're eating a bunch of carbs, you're gaining weight, and you lose the weight by not eating carbs, and you go back to eating the same amount of carbs you were eating before, it's just a matter of time that you're going to regain the weight, right? Seems obvious, but in the real world, day-to-day setting, it may not be that obvious to you. So yes, most people can go back to eating more carbs if you want to.
Leslie says, I live in Australia. Will this course be suitable? Meal plan and recipe ingredients and their availability? And will the difference in time zone be a problem for live Q&A sessions?
Yeah, the teaching we do is appropriate for anyone. And then the timing, we record all of the things that we do so you can watch it on the replay. So you don't have to be watching live.
We have many Australians, Leslie, that join us, and absolutely we send videos as well via email the following day. So not only will they be available to watch in the group, but if you're not with us in the Facebook group, you will see them. We send them via email the following day. As far as meal plans, recipes, and ingredients are concerned, we like to keep things simple around here. So we don't have strict measurements and strict, you got to buy this brand or that brand. Basically, wherever you are in the world, a can of peeled tinned tomatoes is the same whether you live in Australia or South Africa or wherever you come from. So you won't have any problems whatsoever. Cindy says, Dr. Westman, will I have access to you, in all caps, during the 3-week period in the group? I'd like to know that if I have a medical condition, that you are there to guide me personally.
Well, yes, there's access to me. However, I'm not going to help you with getting off medications for a medical condition. I can't do that. So I can direct you to doctors locally where you are, perhaps. But yeah, I'm chiming in. I'm watching as the people come in and are changing, and I'm there with admins who I've trained. They're also helping with getting started. And what's really interesting and amazing is that people help each other. So I was kind of dumbfounded. I mean, I guess I should have known. There are a lot of people who want to give back. They don't want other people to have to go through what they went through. And what a great way for helping someone else who might be getting started or as having a question. And then so we don't know all of the answers, and having a group with the experience of doing it in so many different ways, that's been also an exciting part that is happening with these classes.
And also, you may be wondering as well, besides Dr. Westman, who the rest of the team are. So basically, we have Amy on board, and she's a nutritionist. And then we have myself and Jenny and Glenn and Kyle. And we've all been with Dr. Westman for 10 plus years. We've all been through it. So although we are not nutritionists, we probably know more than a lot of nutritionists out there. And then, of course, we follow Dr. Westman's protocol. So, we are 100% on board his methods, and any answers you get in our members only group is all focused on Dr. Westman's method. So hopefully that answers your question. Minnie asks, I'm 74 and I need to lose 50 pounds. I'm concerned about all the fat that I heard you need to eat on a keto diet. I mean, we get told this all the time. This is all part of the misinformation out there. Doc, do you want to address that one?
Yeah, well, it doesn't matter what age you are. This will work. It's good for children. It's good for adults. I worry if you're on medications. And sadly, in my office, when people come in, most people are on medicines once they're over the age of 65, because they've been eating whatever, and doctors give medicines to treat whatever you're eating. So it's okay. It doesn't matter what age. And the good thing is that this may be actually preventative for lots of things. Now, this gets into I don't have randomized trials on it, but actually the idea that Alzheimer's is a diabetic sort of condition where the brain isn't using glucose, and that cancer is a glucose burning sort of problem makes me, say that this is great. And in fact, we want to cut out carbs, maybe not to the level of keto, but you can. Yeah, I think that would be fine.
Karen, I've been doing keto for around 6 weeks, mainly for pain. It's worked great and I've lost weight, which is a bonus. However, I feel it's taking over constantly planning and weighing everything out. It's getting to be a chore. Well, this is exactly what we teach you not to do in actual fact. It's mainly the weighing out of butter, vegetables, yogurt. No, Karen. There's definitely an easier way. She says, is there an easier way to do this? There definitely is an easier way. And we teach you every step of the way in this course.
And I guess I missed the theme of both of those questions. That you don't have to add in fat. You don't have to add all these fat. In fact, that's one of the common mistakes that I went through in the slides. The most common mistake that makes it not work is that people are over consuming fats. And even when you're trying to lose weight, the fat off your body, that's where the ketones come from. You don't have to be having ketones coming here, drinking them, eating them, taking pills. The ketones come from the fat on your body, and the fat on your body generates the ketones by itself.
And here's another question. This is actually from Beth. Is keto appropriate for a type 1 diabetic?
Yes, and you want to be careful. Do it with a physician or a group that knows about it, and you'll still need to be on insulin if you have insulin deficiency. That's what type 1 is, meaning your body doesn't make insulin. But you'll want to do it. There's a group, a Facebook group, and a well-seasoned group that we actually did research on. It's called Type 1 Grit, TYPEONEGRIT. Type 1 Grit, it's a Facebook group. I send all the people with type 1, my patients there, and they'll help you figure it out. It's a fantastic, it's just strange that today there are these little niches of Facebook groups that are teaching and changing the medical world. I would never have imagined that.
Yeah. And again, I just want to reiterate, when your carbohydrate intake is very, very low and you're a type 1 diabetic, please do so with the help of your doctor, because you will likely require much less insulin than you're accustomed to taking, and you don't want to accidentally induce a dangerous hypoglycemic event. So we want to say, absolutely, but please do so with the help of your doctor. Peter says, I'm concerned that I may need more than 3 weeks of support. What happens after the 3-week period? Do you offer ongoing learning and support? I can answer that. We do, Peter. We offer ongoing learning and support for our AILA grads only. So we actually do have a membership group that we offer to our AILA grads, and we will tell you more about that in the group. We're just getting now to, I've kind of tried to keep all these all the questions regarding the course, like to the end. Let me just see if I've gotten any. I'm following phase 1. This is Elena. I'm following phase 1. I'm trying to limit my fat. How do I take into account the fat I use for cooking?
Yeah, so step back, learn a method where you're not having to measure, so that you don't have to, because you're just not hungry. And that's the important part of learning how to do it right. Learning our method, I learned from doctors who had been using this for 30 years. And there's not a whole lot of measurements, so that when you're using a tablespoon in cooking, it's no big deal, because later on you're not hungry and you eat less. So that's how it works, without a whole lot of measurements. And it's hard for me to explain without having you kind of learn from the ground up what the most important things are.
Doc, would you mind just touching on, if you don't have it in front of you, that's fine. We can always discuss it another day. But would you mind just discussing briefly our course, or our keto success path? You know, where we actually take our students kind of from where they are now, sort of feeling discouraged, and you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and wondering if they can do it, to stage 5 on our success path, which is really, oh my gosh, I didn't know that it was in me to even do this.
Well, yeah, I show this slide briefly at the end of the presentation that shows the success path. I didn't get into all of the nitty gritty of the details. So I was going to do that on Thursday, but I think to unpack each little point that you're going from one point to the next, we don't want you to have to worry about the whole shebang. And so we made it so that you'll have little chunks. You go to this stage and this stage and this stage, so it's not overwhelming. But I think a lot of the questions that we see are that kind of, there are 50 different things that if you don't learn how to do it, you know, it's kind of like, well, why is my golf swing off? Well, you know, if you didn't learn how to swing right the first time, someone can help correct you, but you know, it's a temporary thing. It's better if you learn right the first time.
And what we pride ourselves on is really, again, keeping things simple. You know, there's so much internet noise out there. And you need to block out all of that noise and just get back to basics. And get back to basics, that is Dr. Westman's NEST method, which is all proven, tried and true method that will take you back to basics, and we will show you how to do things step by step. So you know, we kind of big on simplicity because of the noise out there. Margaret says, I'll be 74 in April. I started following your plan in November 91. I have come off my blood pressure pills, my statins, and metformin with 4 exclamations. I'm so thankful to you, Dr. Westman. We see it all the time. We love it. We love it. We celebrate right along with you. Rita says, I don't have a Facebook account. How can I participate in this program without Facebook? That's no problem at all. Although we do suggest, to get the ideal experience of the 3 weeks of support, we do suggest to create a Facebook account. However, if you're dead against it, that is perfectly fine. We do have people that will not have a Facebook account or don't want to create a Facebook account. And so what we do is we send all the videos out on the replay, and you do still have access, guys. You still have access to a student portal. The Facebook group for 3 weeks is not your student portal where the course is. So there are 2 components to this class. Number 1 component is that immediately, as soon as you purchase, in other words, if you purchase as soon as we finish tonight, you will get immediate access to your own student portal. In your student portal, you would need to log in. You will then get full access to all the pre-recorded video lessons led by Dr. Westman, all your PDF resources. And then when we start on May 3rd to May 24 in the Facebook group, we are just going through the course with you on the recap kind of thing. And then we do interactive Q&A as well. So there's the course. So, and you will have access to your portal, not only for the 3 weeks, but for a full, at least 4 months, probably longer, after we finish the 3 weeks in the support group. If you have questions and you are not in the Facebook support group, you can reach out to us via email, and we can support you via email. Although we definitely do encourage, it's tough when you have, 600 plus students to get emails from all of our students. So we definitely encourage the Facebook group for you to get the best experience. Let's see if I've missed any questions. There's a few others regarding the portal and stuff like that. Let's see. Question. If you have a question. Okay, here's one from Donna. Is eating carnivore a good strategy for me who leans into carb creep?
Well, in the presentation, I said, show me a paper with 50 people on it, published in a peer-reviewed journal over 6 months, 50 people on the diet over 6 months, and I'll comment on it. That hasn't been done. And so clearly a lot of people are doing it, and it seems to have great results. And as a fundamental principle with the way I was taught and how to teach, we do teach that you do have some vegetables and leafy greens for the vitamins, minerals, and fiber. And it might be carnivore is okay. I just haven't seen data about it yet. Now, fortunately, I'm a friend or a colleague of Dr. Sean Baker, and Dr. Baker spoke at ADAPT in Long Beach, the conference that we put on. He came and spoke at it. He's a good guy. He wants to do a study, actually. I think they raised funds to actually do a study about the carnivore diet, and we'll just have to see as it goes. I know there are a lot of people who jump on the latest, gimmick and all that. I'm not doing that. I'm going with what's been published, and I'm not a risk taker. I actually like to do things that have data and science behind them. I haven't seen any disastrous results of case studies published with a carnivore diet being bad, but we're in that period of time where you have to collect data about something and publish it if you want to get the respect and the credibility from other people saying that's good. It has to be vetted that way.
And we've had people in the group, Doc, saying that they've actually put on weight from going carnivore. So it really does depend on so many things, Donna. Strategies come from knowing, some backstory. Are you on medications? Are you, do you have high blood pressure? Do you, there are things that we need to know to strategize with you. And so it's tough to just give a quick strategy over text or over this live broadcast.
Another way to explain it is, so what I've been teaching and doing and studying and publishing is sort of the foundation that has given the sprouts of these other things a chance to grow. So the data that we've collected is showing that not eating carbs or not eating many carbs is healthy, has allowed the intermittent fasting and the carnivore subgroups. All that I see them kind of as a secondary tier of things. You don't want to do that first. So there are a lot of other things that will work first, including eating some veggies if you like them. So you have to understand. So for example, we had, so Sean Baker came to our ADAPT event in Long Beach. He's the leader, one of the leaders of the carnivore movement, a physician. And Dr. Ted Naiman we had in our internal Adapt Your Life group just this weekend. He because these are people that now are sprouting out doing these things because we at Duke did the foundational science to allow it to happen. So it's been great to see that grow. But I have to be honest to say, well, you got to publish your data if you want other people to be able to comment on it.
100%. Arvind, I hope I pronounced that correct, Arvind. I'm here to treat my type 2 diabetes, not for weight loss. After watching Dr. Westman's videos, I have already come down from A1C of 12.3 to 6.3 in 3 months. That is fantastic. Will this still help me further?
Sure.
There's no stopping now, Armand. We are here to help every step of the way.
Yeah, I mean, a little more the color of that. It will teach you the principles to carry forward for your lifetime. I mean, these are really simple. But getting back to that worry about fat that several people had, the foundational change is we're not worried about fat in the food anymore for health. It's the sugar and the starches. So that, and to find out where you are on your metabolic flexibility of how many starches and sugars you can have, that's going to be your path and your journey. But we're going to teach you that you don't worry about those old fat is bad sorts of things. And so I think the class can teach you as you've had success with the diabetes and now you want to maintain that. So you don't want to be distracted by those who say, oh, you can't do that. It's, unsustainable. And no, it is sustainable if you do it. And there are a growing number of people demonstrating that.
And actually, here's a similar question from Courtney. I am a type 2 diabetic and have successfully brought my A1C down from 9+ to a 6 in 3 months. I still have a lot of work to do. I have fallen off the wagon. Will the masterclass assist with teaching us tips to make this a true lifestyle change versus another diet?
Absolutely. That's what it's designed for. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Susan, will I get individual help in this class? So Susan, the Ayla team is in the group with you every day, and we try and answer as many questions as we can. We have hashtags that we use in the group. So for example, if you have a question specifically for the team, you would use hashtag question or hashtag Team Ayla, and we answer every question that we see. As far as individual help during the interactive Q&As, just exactly like what you are seeing today, we try and get to every single question. If we don't see it in the stream, we will always come back to it later on. But basically, you're with our team for a full 3 weeks, and we answer all questions. Every single question that we see, we answer. And there may be one or two that slip by, then you just need to kind of, use the hashtag again, and we'll see it the second round. Let's see. Should I consider looking at total fat grams eaten every day so I don't eat too many? This is from Joy. Should I consider looking at total fat grams eaten every day so I don't eat too many?
Yeah, no. So that's not our approach. Our approach is to teach you the set of foods to eat, and we have it all on one sheet of paper. And what it does is gives you a mixture of different types of foods that really emphasizes proteins, and with the protein comes the fat. Especially if you have fat to lose off your body, you don't want to be adding and monitoring the fats, adding fats, that sort of thing. It's pretty much automatic. I mean, if you've never done a keto diet before, in a day or two, the hunger goes away and you eat less. That's how it works. The secret of it is that you're just not hungry. And the reason for that is you're burning fat so well in your body because you're not eating the carbs that stops the fat burning. Your body's burning so much fat in the morning, you're just not hungry. So the secret is you eat less without monitoring the fat, without worrying about it. So there's a lot of not worrying that we say in the class. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. And then there's this, it's like an aha moment, isn't it? Where it's, wow, I'm just not worried about that. And then it's working.
We've got quite a few questions to still get through. Let's try and get through these as quickly as we can. Susan says, if I've already read End Your Carb Confusion, will I learn something new in this class?
Yeah, and you have to understand some people learn from visual learning, some people learn from reading. You'll get a deeper understanding of how sugar affects the metabolism. You'll get a whole module on a paradigm shift, including talks that I've given around the world. I'll give you summaries of those kinds of things. I think it would give you a deeper understanding of why. Although the food lists and all are very similar, but if you want a little deeper understanding, it would be good for you.
And not to mention as well that just being in a community with like-minded people, is just very powerful. Let me tell you, we have people in a private membership group that are a love fest going on in there. The engagement and the help and the support is honestly like nothing I've ever seen. Right, Doc?
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So that really is powerful. Let's see. What do you recommend in the area of finding a doctor? Please email us because we can send you a link. If you want to email us with any questions as well, feel free to do so at academy@adaptyourlife.com. That's academy@adaptyourlife.com. And then let me get quickly to these last few questions regarding well, Brady wants to know, is this program based on the latest, most updated advice, Doc?
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. So even, if you read some of the books I've been involved in, I've changed my thinking and incorporating other research findings as well.
100%, yes. That's why End Your Carb Confusion was born as well. That's also the latest. Des says, I'm not a techie person at all. Will I be able to navigate the course on my own? Absolutely, you will be. And we've got an incredible team. Actually, if any one of the team is here, can you post a link to our FAQ in the comments? So there's a lot of these questions in the FAQ on the website. So if you go to adaptyourlifeacademy.com, you will see up at the top, there's a little drop down of FAQ. Go to the Keto Made Simple FAQ, and there's a lot of these questions that you'd be able to see there in terms of, we've got an incredible team that will help you with tech. So it's really no big deal. We will get you over that hump, and it's really not hard. Mary asks, I know you say not to count calories, but do calories still matter?
Yeah, well, that's correct. This kind of method, you don't have to count calories. The hunger goes down automatically in just about everybody. So you're eating fewer calories without counting them. So calories do matter, and that's that theme I pointed out in the slides, that the most common mistake that we've seen people make is the overconsumption of fats, the calories. So fats have a lot of calories. That's why they're limited on a low-fat diet, low-calorie diet. So if you have an unbridled consumption of butter, oils, bulletproof coffee, things like that, you're not going to be losing much weight. Or we could enhance it if you are, by paying attention to that. But you don't have to use a calculator, a carb counter, or a calorie counter. We make it simple for you to just follow a list of foods, and it automatically reduces your hunger and you eat less.
Linda says, I'd like to confirm that the videos of classes are available to watch when we can. Yes, they are. And they aren't available only at a particular time. No, we've got people from all over the world, students from all over the world in different time zones. So the videos are always available to watch on the replay in the group, and we send them via email the following day as well. Gavin, why is the class not available all the time? Why only 5 days? And when is the next cohort if I don't join this one? Well, you answer the first part. Why is the class not available all the time? Why only 5 days?
Yeah, so we decided to make a group to help people get started. And that means we devote all of our attention to you as you get started. So we have a time when the class is open for enrollment. We close it, and then we're going to work with you for the next 3 weeks with all of our might to make sure that it's working for you and that you're getting results. I don't know when the next one will be exactly. I think it may not be for a few months.
Not at least until end August.
Okay.
Would probably be the soonest. Max says, does everyone get keto flu and how long does it last?
Yeah. In our experience, about a third of people will get keto flu or transition symptoms. We call that keto adaptation. Most of the time, it's not like a flu, like you're laid up in bed. It's more mild headache or fatigue that can actually be reduced by adding salt or bouillon. We talked about that in the class. And most people don't get it. So don't use that. Don't be afraid. Don't let that be the reason not to try it. Most people don't get keto flu.
Okay, we almost finished, I think, with questions. Dylan says, how long do we have access to the course? Only 3 weeks? No, you have access to your student portal for at least 4 months, possibly even longer. You would have to log in to your portal, and that's where all your lessons, quizzes, PDF resources, they live in there in your student portal. However, the Facebook group, the support portion of the class for 3 weeks, the group will get archived at the end of the 3 weeks. So although you have access to the group, in other words, you can see it, nobody will be able to post anything new, and Team Ayla will not be in the support group any longer after the 3-week period. Dr. Westman will be...
Just to that effect, you also get the materials that are printed, the ebook, the transcript of all of the videos, so that if you want to have it forever, you can actually download that information. And we're really just trying to teach with as many styles as possible: videos, reading, the experiential, getting started with that kind of support. It's really pretty amazing what we put together.
Yeah. And honestly, we have put this together for $147, guys. And let me just tell you that that is what you are getting for $147 is worth more than 5 times that amount. To have Dr. Westman, Amy, and the ADAPT team for a full 3 weeks of support, plus the course, is honestly invaluable. So we're offering that because of that was actually this is the 3rd time we're launching this particular the Keto Made Simple Masterclass, and we wanted to give our founding members actually that particular price because of the current circumstances with the pandemic, and we have decided to keep it that price. This is probably going to be the last time it's going to be this price. I'm sure that the price is going to go up next time, but because, due to the trying times everybody's in right now, we really wanted to make it as affordable as we can for everybody. I also would recommend that you go to academy@adaptyourlife.com. You will see everything you need to know on that page, what you get, exactly what you get in the course, how long the course is, what it entails, what the PDF resources you're going to get. So, just Google academy@adaptyourlife.com, or one of the team should be putting links in the description. If you just look through the description or the comments, you'll see those links are there. But I would definitely encourage you to go there. If you still have a question, again, go to the FAQ at the top of the page, and guaranteed your questions will be answered. Right, click. Okay, one last thing. So when you go to adaptyourlifeacademy.com, you are going to go to the very top tab where you're going to see online courses. There's going to be 2 online courses there. The one is called Keto Made Simple. That is the class you are going to click on. The other class called The Stall Slayer is closed. That is Amy Berger's class, and that is not available right now. We've just closed that. So this particular course is called Keto Made Simple. So that is the course page you need to go onto. Right, we are ready to pick the 5 winners that are live at the end. So here's what I want you to do. Listen up. We're going to randomly pick 5 winners like now. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to give you a minute. In the comments, we want you to type the word in all caps, live, L-I-V-E. And the first lives, hold on one second. Let me just grab some water. The first 5 lives that we see as we look down are going to be the winners of the book. And then we're going to ask these winners, we're going to mention whoever you are, and we're going to ask you to email us your mailing address, and you will receive a signed copy of Dr. Westman's book, which looks like this. For those of you who have never seen it, it's called End Your Carb Confusion. So type live, L-I-V-E, in the comments, and the first 5 people to type live, I'm going to call. And I'm giving you a few seconds. Are they live, Doc?
A lot more than 5.
Are there more than 5 already? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I'm going to look down in a minute. Hold on one second. Okay. Okay. Guys, you're listening. TCW, number 1. Kathleen Kruger, number 2. SK, number 3. Charlotte Morrison, number 4. And BH, number 5. You remember who you are? Send us an email at academy@adaptyourlife.com. Let us know that you won the book. We better write you guys down. So that was...
Yeah, and Amy will sign the book too.
Okay, TCW, Kathleen Kruger, SK, Charlotte Morrison, BH. Perfect. Congratulations, everyone.
Can I add in just one comment?
Yeah.
I thank you for the question. I'm sorry we can't get to all of them, but someone kept asking, and there are a couple, might be the same person, or DJ Avery. Is there a concern of not eating enough calories and shutting down your metabolism? Absolutely not. So I'm a medical doctor who, doctors get trained about losing weight for people in nutrition, get no training. So I went out to get special training, and as doctors, we can take calories down to almost nothing. And in some people, we have to. But dietitians aren't trained to do that. Books aren't going to tell you to do that. If you're in a situation where you're not sure what to do, find a doctor who understands this. I'm what's called an obesity medicine specialist, and there are a growing number of obesity medicine specialists. And I'll bring up the classic example of these reality TV shows where you're going out into the wild for 21 days. Have you seen how much people lose in the weight, Lisa? It's a pound a day.
It's crazy.
So you don't lose weight by eating more. You lose weight by eating less. And I have to think that there are people out there who are making money from you if you are thinking you need to eat more and you're not losing weight and you need to eat more and more. No, you need to eat less. Now, you want to make sure you're eating great nutrition. And if you're going below, we say, about 800, 1,000 a day, do it with a doctor who's trained to know what to look for there. So there's this sort of safe use of diet. Diets can be very powerful. And if you're garden variety, you don't need to worry about, and it's working for you, great. But if it's troublesome, it's not working, you're worried about find someone who you can work one-on-one with. And if you're not on medication, join us in the masterclass and you'll see. I mean, it doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah. And I also wanted to mention, somebody had mentioned do we give strategies for sugar addiction and carb addiction? And I want to reassure you that I am an ex-binge eater myself. I have been following Dr. Westman's methods for close on 4 years now. And we have been through it. We completely understand what you are going through. And most of your admins in the group have had issues. So we can certainly help you with strategies as far as binge eating disorder or any food addiction. Doc, you yourself, you used to be a smoking cessation addiction doctor in the beginning of your right?
That's right. For 10 years, I helped design treatments to help people quit smoking. So a lot of overlap, similarity between sugar addiction and any drug or any addiction for that matter.
And we teach you in the course. We have a module on mindset. A lot of it is mindset related. There are definitely tweaks that you need to do. You need to unlearn certain things and relearn new things, create new habits. We teach you all of that in during the 3 weeks, how to create new habits until they become automated. And this is very important. This is really important because a lot of people don't realize that what they do on a daily basis is really just a habit.
Right. Yeah.
So many people eat out of habit, whether you're feeling down, whether you're feeling excited, if you're going and watching TV or you're going to watch your favorite program or you're going to watch, so much of your eating patterns are habitual. And these are things that we teach you how to break and how to create new ones. So that is it for tonight. We've been going for an hour and a half. If you're still on the fence, as I said, please visit our page and check out the FAQ. We will be live again on Thursday. Dr. Westman is going to go through something very special with you on Thursday, which is the day before we close CART, which we close. This masterclass is only going to be available until Friday, 12 midnight PST. So on Thursday, we are going to come to you live again, as well as we're going to do Q&A, the same as what we did tonight. But Doc is going to go through the success path that I was talking about earlier. And we're also going to go through the 2 pathways video. If you have not seen Doc doing that video, it is extremely powerful. And it's basically about lifestyle versus medication. Which do you want to take? And we go through that with PowerPoint presentation on Thursday. I'd be excited for you to see that. So tune in on Thursday for sure. And that's it. Doc, any last parting words?
Thanks and thanks to the Ayla team for helping people lose a ton.
And thanks for posting all the links in the group. And we're a rock star team, guys. If you don't join us, you're going to miss out. Let me tell you that. All right. Thanks, Doc. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Good night.